Hello students, today we will start with the lesson Working of the Constitution. What is a constitution? A constitution is a body of fundamental principles or established precedents according to which a state or other organization is acknowledged to be governed. The Constitution of India is the supreme law of land. The Constitution of India was created by a Constituent Assembly and not by the Parliament. The 299-member Assembly took 3 years to draft the Constitution. Dr. Rajendra Prasad was the president of this Constituent Assembly. The Indian Constitution has declared its objective to establish a secular democratic republic. The Indian Constitution is seen as the means through which a progressive developed society based on social justice and equality will be established. The Constitution came into force on 26 January 1950, and since then the government has been working in accordance with the principles of the Constitution. In this chapter, we will study the nature of Indian democracy, important changes that have taken place in its political process, and steps that have been taken to establish social justice and equality. Students, do you know what is the meaning of democracy? Democracy means rule of majority. The supreme power is with the people. In a democracy, the supreme power is vested in the people and exercised by them directly or indirectly through a system of representation, usually involving periodically held free elections. Political majority. In the case of India, people have direct representation at the central level, which is the parliament, the state level, which is the state legislature, and the local governments like the Zilla Parishad, etc. The increasing participation of the people in the political processes and regular free and fair election is an important indicator of India's successful democracy. Right to vote. After independence, the Constitution guaranteed adult suffrage, which means right of citizens to vote with minimum restrictions. What is adult suffrage? Adult suffrage is right of citizens to vote with minimum restrictions. This right was given to both men and women. The voting age was reduced from 21 to 18 years, because of which today India is the largest democracy in the world. There are new political parties emerging with active support of young voters. Decentralization of power. Decentralization of power controls misuse of power and increases common people's participation. The directive principles of state policy makes provision for democratic decentralization. On the screen, you will see the administrative structure of India. At the top, we have the Government of India at the central level, followed by the state governments. Under the state governments, we have different divisions. Okay, at the local level, we have the Zilla Parishad. Now, under the Zilla Parishad, we have the municipal corporation, municipality, and the city council, under which we have the different wards. The 73rd Amendment makes provision for increasing Panchayat's powers, makes provisions for rural development, poverty reduction, etc. The 74th Amendment of the Indian Constitution makes provision for increasing power, authority, and responsibilities of municipalities. Right to information. The Right to Information Act of 2005 was done with the aim of providing clarity of information to the citizens of India to contain corruption and to promote accountability of government officials. The Government of India gave RTI to citizens to ensure transparency and accountability, which are hallmarks of good governance. It has reduced the element of secrecy in the working of government. Next, we come to right-based approach. Earlier, development or progress was considered as something which was optional for the government to give the citizens. But now it is the right of the people, which means it is now the duty of the government and not a choice of the government to safeguard democracy, rights, and provide development. It makes the government officials accountable to the people. Now, students, in your opinion, how will this approach, this right-based approach, change the relations between the government and citizens? This approach makes the government more accountable to the people. It helps in building a kind of a trust between the people and government, and it strengthens democracy. Now, students, can you tell the reasons for the following changes? Some seats are kept reserved for women to increase their participation in political process. Some seats are kept reserved for weaker sections of the society so that they can get a share in political power. The State Election Commission has been established. The 11th and 12th schedule was added to the Constitution. Now, all these changes in the Constitution or in the working of the government was made through the 73rd and the 74th Amendment to the Indian Constitution. Now, why were these things done, or why were these provisions made? If you look at the 11th and the 12th schedule, it provides for increasing the powers of Panchayat. The 12th schedule is related to increasing the powers and responsibilities of the municipalities. This was done for decentralization of power, or to give more authority to the self-governing or the local government authorities. At the same time, if you look at the first and the second point, that about reservation for women and for the weaker sections, this was done so that their participation, the participation of women and the weaker section, increases in the political process, so that they get more empowerment. Discuss. Do you think that citizens in India should have the right to employment? What do you think, students? What will happen if the right to employment is given to citizens? Because it becomes a right and not something which the government gives as its own choice, it becomes the duty of the government to ensure that employment is given to all the citizens. Now, what will happen if it becomes the government's duty to give employment to all the citizens? It will provide income. It will provide income to the citizens and it will make them independent. According to you, if everyone gets the right to shelter, how will it affect democracy in India? What will happen if you get the right to shelter? Again, this becomes a duty of the government, because right to shelter is now a right and something which is not optional. It is the duty of the government to give us shelter. So what will happen? When you get shelter, what does it give us? It gives us some kind of stability. Therefore, people will become more confident, and it will become difficult for political parties to manipulate them. let's move on to social justice and equality. Now, the principles of justice and equality aim to end discrimination on basis of caste, gender, religion, language, race, property, place of birth, etc., and giving equality of opportunity for development to every individual. Now, for a democracy to be successful, all sections of the society must be brought into mainstream. This can be done by establishing social justice and equality. Now, what is the difference between equality and social justice? Equality as a basic human right would mean that everyone, whether you're weak or strong, you will get equal opportunities. Look at the picture of equality, okay, where all the three have been given the same size of box to stand on. But if you go to see, all three of them are of the same height. They all have different heights. So even though they have been given equal opportunity to view this match which is going on, they are still unable to do so. If you look at the picture of social justice, you see that the box on the support which is provided to each of the three people is different. The support which is given or the box is given depending on their height to ensure that all three of them are able to view the match irrespective of what is their height. This is what we mean by social justice, where equality of opportunity is given for development to every individual. With this, we stop explanation for this lesson.